How you doing, YouTube? We just got done watching a fun video from a loyal viewer, Tisriel. Very fun video from the video game The Outer Worlds. Makes me want to take a second look at that game because yeah, I played it for about 5 minutes and I was like, okay, I got a life I got to live. I don't know if I want to even do this, but it's from the makers of New Vegas, so but apparently it piddles out near the end. It's kind of too short and all that. But what can you do, man? It's a fucking sim. Those are hard to make. All right, but let's get to it. We're following up on the government shutdown. So I wanted to follow up from yesterday's coverage because we were basically watching the debate happen live. And when I stopped my coverage, they had just voted to delay a vote until Monday. But then I guess they went back and did make some, like Davey was saying, some last 11th hour deal with the Democrats to pay our debts for the next 40 days or something like that. So anyway, let's get into it.
We start in the United States, which has narrowly avoided a government shutdown after both houses of Congress approved a short-term funding bill in a rare show of cross-party unity. The last-ditch resolution will keep the government running for a further 45 days, but excludes further aid for Ukraine. President Biden welcomed the deal, which he said prevented an unnecessary crisis, but expressed disappointment that it failed to honour commitments to Ukraine. The bill was passed just before the midnight deadline that would have seen tens of thousands of federal employees placed on furlough and various government services suspended. The issue of more aid for Ukraine.
No, they want to cut WIC and cut SNAP and just fuck everybody, huh? That's the solution. Hungry kids. I don't know how a bunch of hungry kids is going to make everyone's life better. This money doesn't, the money that they cut from WIC isn't going to go into your fucking pockets, MAGA right-wingers and the neoliberals that agree with this Reagan-esque nonsense. Money doesn't go into your fucking pockets. What do you think? There's a tax cut around the block if a bunch of kids start starving?
Something opposed by some hard-right House Republicans. Here's Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
It's been a day full of twists and turns, but the American people can breathe a sigh of relief. There will be no government shutdown. Democrats have said from the start that the only solution for avoiding a shutdown is bipartisanship, and we're glad that Speaker McCarthy has finally heeded our message. In the end, more Democrats supported this bill in the House than Republicans, proving bipartisanship was the best answer all along. I want to thank my colleagues here in the Senate, especially our appropriators, yourself, Madam President, Susan Collins, and Leader McConnell. Our bipartisan work in the Senate set the tone for the bill we're about to pass. Our bipartisanship made this possible and showed the House that they had to act. We will keep the government open for 45 days with a clean CR at current funding levels. And we avoided all of the extreme, nasty, and harmful cuts MAGA Republicans wanted.
Well, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell offered this commitment.
Most Senate Republicans remain committed to helping our friends on the front lines, to investing more heavily in American strength that reinforces our allies, and deterring our top strategic adversary, China. I'm confident the Senate will pass further urgent assistance to Ukraine later this year.
Well, Mr. Biden released a statement saying, in part, tonight, bipartisan majorities in the House and Senate voted to keep the government open, preventing an unnecessary crisis that would have inflicted needless pain on millions of hard-working Americans.
According to a doctor,
President
it wasn't a
Biden was
stroke.
critical about the lack of new funding for the war in Ukraine, writing, "We cannot, under any circumstances, allow American support for Ukraine to be interrupted. I fully expect the Speaker will keep his commitment to the people of Ukraine and secure passage of the support needed to help Ukraine at this critical moment." Our North America correspondent Sean Dilley sent this update from Washington.
The United States government came perilously close, that
Not
close
touching it.
to stopping at midnight
I'm not touching it,
on
guys.
Saturday. But that was averted thanks to this compromise deal that won't entirely please Democratic or Republican politicians.
I don't
won't
see a
please
thing wrong
Democratic
here.
politicians because they've had to agree not to approve any more funding to Ukraine, at least within the terms of this stopgap bill. And the Republicans didn't get the very deep cuts that they had wanted. For instance,
He clearly
they
has a
had been
medical
calling
issue.
for 30% cuts to
Israel.
Social Security. It is a bit complex, though, because a deal was done in the background. Speaker McCarthy, a Republican himself, has agreed that if this bill was passed, he would introduce another bill in the coming days to discuss further funding for Ukraine. Now, that's already angered hardline Republicans who were already threatening to remove him from office if he relied on Democratic votes to push through an earlier vote that had been agreed by the Senate. But what we have here is not exactly consensus for the sake of consensus, but it's a deal of convenience. It does keep the government open. The financial and economic repercussions, had the government have shut, would have been very serious. Moody's, the credit ratings agency, warning that the credit rating would have been at a risk of being downgraded, meaning that borrowing would have been more expensive. And hundreds of thousands of federal employees would have been put on unpaid leave. Now that
unpaid leave, folks, unpaid. There, we're talking thousands of people, but tens of thousands of people. Not because they're like Republicans are like, oh, they'll get back pay, they'll get back pay. No, there are thousands of people, at least tens of thousands, likely, that won't be getting jack shit.
That's a problem that it may not have gone away completely, but it's a problem that certainly kicked down the road a bit till the middle of November. So already backroom dealings are taking place. The White House has said that they expect the Speaker to deliver on his promise to bring that Ukraine funding bill in the coming days. And the Pentagon has expressed concern about the message that failing to fund Ukraine within this deal could have the message that it could send to Kyiv. So watch this space. More dealings and more division is all but certain.
Yep.
Well, I've been speaking to Daniel Lippman, White House and Washington reporter at Fort Politico. He told me how the shutdown was averted.
Speaker Kevin McCarthy finally put a clean government spending bill on the floor. He had previously discussed with House conservatives to put...
By clean, he means not cutting WIC, not cutting SNAP. I think the compromise they made was Ukraine. But yeah, no, he wanted, you know, because it's amazing. They, you know, once again, the easiest thing to do is to call out their hypocrisy. But they're out here, they were out in cable news being like, oh, the Democrats want to put on a bunch of extra shit. That's why we wanted to separate it. And oh, the Democrats wanted to do this. Meanwhile, they're literally trying to hold the country hostage so that they could stop feeding hungry kids.
Different bills that would drastically cut government spending. Those all actually failed. And so today, on the last day before a shutdown, he did something that the Senate would also agree to. And this delays it for about a month and a half or so. And then we'll hopefully we won't be, all up to the same, government shutdown watch like we have been in the last few days.
Yeah, this keeps on happening, doesn't it? Every few years. Why?
Yeah, because, well, let's see if this is what this guy says. But the real reason why the Democrats haven't passed, when they had supermajorities, haven't passed some kind of rule or law that makes this impossible. And I've explained this before, but it's a perfect opportunity for the Democrats to pass extremely right-wing legislation to compromise with the conservatives on incredibly damaging corporatist legislation, and then they can tell their constituencies, oh guys, we tried to be progressive, we tried to be liberal, but we had no choice but to be corporatist and vote along with the Republicans, or else we're going to have another shutdown. Yeah, clutch cargo, most likely, yeah, but that was always the case. Matt Gaetz knew from the very beginning that it was just a matter of time, that he was going to attempt this. But what I heard is that McCarthy now understands that he can get around Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and the other few that are there. There's like 8 of them, I believe, that are being obstinate and ultra MAGA style. So McCarthy has learned that, look, well, I'm just going to, there's an easy way to get around these assholes, and that's just appeal to the corporatist Democrats like Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema and, the other so-called moderates blue dog Democrats, just appeal to them and make legislation that makes them happy. Of course, Matt Gaetz is taking advantage of the situation and saying, see, McCarthy's really a Democrat. He's really working with the Democrats because he's refusing to destroy everything to hold the country hostage to get what he wants. Matt Gaetz over here saying that he could do it better. I think that's a fucking joke. But this is the thing, and this is why Matt Gaetz and his ilk are trying to destroy democracy, because they see it as a hindrance to their goals. They understand that a real democracy, is never going to accept their plans, what they want to achieve. They understand that. So it's really just a matter of time for them to get democracy out of the way so that they can, pass edicts and just, be the dictators that they want to be.
Well, we've seen a decline in members who are interested in actually governing, and you've had a lot of rabble-rousers elected, like Congressman Matt Gaetz, who is Kevin McCarthy's lead antagonist from Florida, and he uses these types of shutdown watches to raise lots of money. I'm on his mailing list, and he was sending out emails today saying, please donate. I am standing up to the DC establishment. And so there's a small cohort of House Republicans that are not interested in the government working properly. And so that makes it very hard when you have McCarthy only having a 4 to 5 seat margin. And so it's kind of impossible for him to rule over this unruly caucus.
So under this new deal, no new funding for Ukraine has been approved. What does it mean for aid for the country?
Well, they're going to try to do another supplemental bill on Ukraine aid in the next few weeks. It'll probably actually be much larger than they could have gotten if they had put it in this bill. And so you have a Senate minority leader, Mitch McConnell, a Republican, who is very in favor of this aid. And so there might have been a backhanded deal with McCarthy saying, hey, he'll put a similar bill on the floor and see if it succeeds. But we're still unsure about this aid, extra aid to Ukraine, but it's looking better than yesterday on that front.
Do you think they'll find a permanent solution to avoid future shutdowns under what comes next deal next month?
There's no permanent solution, and a lot of people in Washington are pretty mad because this makes the U.S. almost a laughingstock, because no other major democracy has these types of potential shutdowns or actual
shutdowns. And once again, I don't want to provide cover for Barack Obama and Joe Biden here, because Barack Obama had a supermajority, could have stopped this. Joe Biden, I believe, it was very brief, but I do believe he had a supermajority for a hot minute there. They can change these things. I think Joe Biden could probably pass some kind of executive order. There's a constitutional mandate to fund the government. There's all kinds of things that the Democrats could do to punish the right wing for doing this, but they go along with it, like I said, because they're ultimately neoliberal corporatists, and they want to pass a lot of this right-wing legislation. Joe Biden agrees with Joe Manchin more than he agrees with AOC. I guarantee it.
Downs. And Congress has the power of the purse. And so unless you're going to elect people into Congress who are all about governing and not about just getting social media hits and TV news appearances, then we could be seeing these for a while, unfortunately.
Yeah, and this is why I'm here, because guys like this, they just don't have the balls, or you're just not allowed to be on TV if you're saying the shit that I'm saying. If you're pointing out the failures of the left, every time that because we do need to start calling this out. We got what are we running cover for Joe Biden for, and his failures to prevent this shit from happening? I don't understand why they get a fucking break when they've had opportunity after opportunity to change this. After the Republicans successfully shut down the government for like 30 days or something, they should have the next opportunity made it impossible for that to happen again, but they didn't, and we have to ask ourselves why. We have to ask ourselves why. What is their motivation for not changing this? Just like their motivation for not changing the Electoral College that they complain so much about. They don't seem to have a problem with gerrymandering when they're doing it. Oh, we're doing it to fight the Republicans. When does it stop? I guess it never stops. It's always the lesser of two evils. That's the great status quo that we want to keep because we get to be rich with the status quo. Fuck, I don't have time to cover all of this. It's too good. I gotta cover it though. This is too good. These GOP idiots are embarrassing themselves. They need Karl Rove so bad it's ridiculous. They need Dick Cheney so bad it's ridiculous. They need Donald Rumsfeld so bad it's ridiculous. These clowns don't even know how to do a fucking political, sham hearing. All three of their witnesses up here saying the first thing that they say, there's no evidence. There's no evidence whatsoever. And then they run the whole hearing as if the evidence that they had makes him guilty. And listen to this. I got to point this out over here. Let me start with MTG here. Listen to this, what she says about how come the Democrats aren't stopping Hunter Biden. What are you talking about? Listen to this. I have some criticism for the left wing as well here as well, though.
Hunter Biden needs to be held accountable for his sexual exploitation of women. And we've shown more evidence.
Wow, he ordered some hookers. He needs to be held accountable. Sure, okay, yeah. Arrest him for being a John and move on with our lives. How many right-wing Republican... Does anyone know how, when there's a right-wing conference in a city, how the prostitutes, their business, quadruples? Anytime there's Atlanta or some kind of right-wing conference, all the hookers in the area get buku bucks. Anyway, like I said, pointing out right-wing hypocrisy is literally the easiest thing in the world. I think I could do it in a coma.
Shown evidence. This is what it looks like. This is what Mann Act violations look like.
Mr. Chairman.
So now the Democrats are going to pretend like this isn't, like Jamie Raskin over here going to use the kids to be like, you can't show pornography. You can't show pornography. I'm sorry. This is an adult world. Okay. And if there's some salacious shit, if there's some legitimate, because I don't want to, if there's some proof of some right wing shit, I don't want the right wing to be like, what about the kids? What about the kids? You can't show evidence of our wrongdoing to the public because kids. So I don't really agree with the Democrats in this either. They're fucking pearl clutching that they're doing about showing a fucking a booty in a bikini over here, or the other pictures that she showed. Like, oh, what about the kids? What about the kids? What about the kids watching C-SPAN 3? Fuck off, Jamie Raskin. This is why people are sick of neoliberals, man. This is why people want to agree with MTG. Because, at least she might not know what the fuck she's talking about, but at least she's being in your face and emulating the body language and language of fighting instead of this namby-pamby fucking pearl clutching nonsense. Oh, what about the rules? Are you kidding me?
This is what Mann Act violations look like.
Mr. Chairman.
But of course, MTG is wrong.
I reclaim my time.
I'd like to challenge the use of this exhibit under Clause 6 of Rule 17.
It is sad that my Democratic colleagues pretend to care about women's rights while allowing Hunter Biden to exploit women.
Allowing Hunter Biden to exploit women. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? The Democrats are in, what? They got Hunter Biden on a leash? They got him on the phone? What are you talking about, woman? Did George Bush Sr. have, did the Republican Party have full control over George Bush when he was doing coke and being a frat boy? What?
Women's rights while allowing Hunter Biden to exploit women. This is a shame. But let's talk about.
But I agree. I do agree that, look, if he's stone cold guilty and it's against the law, arrest the guy. I do think that there is some favoritism going on. Because he's the president's son. With that said, is he guilty of subverting democracy like Jared fucking Kushner and Trump Jr. did under Trump, under Trump's orders? Oh, we'll work with you, Ukraine, if you can give us some dirt on fucking Hunter Biden.
Chairman, there's a parliamentary challenge before us.
The point
Mr.
of order.
Chairman, point of order.
Who's the point? And we'll stop the clock for you, Ms. Green.
Mr. Chairman, our colleague from Georgia has introduced before pornographic exhibits and displayed things that are really not suitable for children who might be watching.
We're not going to call that out. We're not going to call that out. If I catch my child watching C-SPAN 3, I'm calling a therapist. You know what I'm saying? I left the room. He was watching fucking, the Baby Shark. I come back in. He's watching C-SPAN 3 and actually paying attention. I'm calling the doctor. Okay? There's not a child in the fucking universe watching C-SPAN 3, Jamie Raskin. So, I want to be on these guys' side over here, but you're pulling this kind of crap. How the fuck am I supposed to support neoliberals over here? Oh, no, that's a woman in a bikini. Oh, that's pornography. Come on.
Has introduced before pornographic exhibits and displayed things that are really not suitable for children who might be watching.
Hunter Biden paid for this woman to do this with him, to travel across state lines, from California to Washington.
I'm fine. Look, we need to be able to show this stuff, but I'm fine with them saying, look, we're going to show something really nasty, so we're going to censor it or do something, because this is like, a kid could be flipping through trying to find, cartoons and just so happen to see, Hunter Biden getting a BJ. Right. So I get that. I understand that. All right. So but I don't think that it should be a rule that says you can't show certain stuff. This is the halls of government, dude. Real life is pretty fucking gross and nasty. And sometimes you got to show what's really happening so that we can make laws to either prevent it or whatever.
In D.C. on June 15th. This is a violation of the Mann Act. This was prostitution.
Clutch Cargo, you're 100% correct.
Bathing suit's not suitable, Mr. Raskin?
Well, I'm saying I would like the member to be instructed to not introduce any pornography today, at least without running it.
A bathing suit is not pornography.
Well, we shut it from down there. So you didn't make it available to the minority before you started.
It before. It's on the internet. It's
no,
everywhere.
I mean, okay, and she's wrong here, because this is a strategy that the Republicans use to throw the left off guard in these debates. They have exhibits and stuff that they don't show the other side, so that they'd have no preparation of what to get ready. So I do agree with Jamie Raskin on this. It's like, well, if you're going to show it, we should have had a chance to review it so that we can get our responses ready for what you're saying here, and all that. So I do agree on that one procedurally.
It available to the minority before you started.
It before. It's on the internet. It's everywhere.
Thank you, Tisriel. Have yourself a good day. Welcome back, Zeodude.
Naked woman's body.
This is a bathing suit. This is a bathing suit.
And it has not been cleared before this committee.
Glasses on. Do you wear them or not?
I have contacts in. Thank you.
Congratulations.
We had thousands of members across the country.
Okay. So I just wanted to show that. And then there is one of these. Yeah. So I wanted to show fascist Steve Bannon reacting to, to seeing like these mediocre people incapable of achieving his plan. I mean, Project 2025 is all about Steve Bannon, right? It's exactly what Steve Bannon's been talking about. But the problem is that the only idiots that are going along with this fascist agenda are self-serving psychopaths. I don't know. Nihilists, self-serving nihilists. And, they're really just there to cash out. They don't really believe in the Steve Bannon mission of a new authoritarian America where the conservatives have total dominance and control no matter what happens democratically. So he's feeling very frustrated that the people that agree with him are incredibly mediocre and incompetent, and he just he's worrying that his precious new future is at stake here. I don't know if he has much to be worried about. Look at the poll numbers. Joe Biden and Donald Trump, neck and neck. That says everything about Joe Biden. That says everything about the neoliberal Democrats right there. What's it going to take? What's it going to take for people to, I don't know, maybe the sexual assaulting dictator is better than Joe Biden. I don't know. Both sides. I get it that we can't change everyone's mind. A lot of minds are made up here, but it doesn't really feel like the neoliberals are even trying to change a mind. They're just like, well, we're not the right wing.
roasted by right-wing media. Play the clip.
And they still owned the Republicans, utterly
I
owned
reserve my
them.
time on that.
I mean,
but
think
go
about
ahead.
it. What did we witness today, Steve? It was impeachment 48 of President Trump. They turned the whole thing into photographs of Ivanka, photographs of Jared. I mean, it's like, and the GOP just like, and
Welcome
the
back, woke
GOP,
patriot.
you know what pisses me off the most, Steve? When they roll out Republicans, and I'm a political junkie like you, and I see somebody who's like, they're third in line, 12 minutes in, and I've never heard of this piker before. I've never heard of this congressman or woman, and they're just like, here's another meat puppet, here's your script, darling, read it, and then the cretin, the stupid Democrat, just owns them, Steve. And then the last thing, Comer.
Wow, look at, he's got a Judge Dredd badge up underneath the presidential seal. He's got this Judge Dredd badge. And I mean, these people are telling us who they are. And they're doing it with a big smile on their face, and they're like, I can't wait to take away your rights and just do God knows what to society and force God knows what, And they're just telling us who they are. And we're just not listening.
Stands in the corridor afterwards and says, that was a great day. Bumble, 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 bumble. And then he says, and we just had one question. What did Biden's get for the tens of millions? And he doesn't answer the question. If you think you answered that question today,
yeah, you're right, WP.
Perhaps you should tell the American people what the answer to that question was.
Yeah, I need it.
That's why I say you don't.
Thank you, Ben Meiselas. Look, I like Ben Meiselas. Seems like a nice guy, but sorry, we're going to skip his stuff just so we can get these juicy clips of Steve Bannon having a fucking fop hey clip.
We have to have a standard of how serious this is, and I haven't been able to follow the entire thing. But when one of the professors there, it gives the opening dialogue, and he's got
Carl version of Judge Dredd is perfection. I watch it at least once a year. I love that movie.
Some nice things he's laying out, and he's impeachable. And then Raskin, right on his cross, gets, and I think I heard this correctly. Well, have you seen any impeachable offenses? No. Is this worse than Trump on January 6th? No. That's maybe not a witness I call initially to lay out the case. Maybe my staff should have gone through and asked questions like that in making sure in the traditional preparation of the witnesses. And if that was the professor's thought and that's what he believes, maybe we sit around a conference table and say, hey, when we have on the white...
So if you're confused, he's talking about this guy right here who basically said, I don't think that there's even a solid case for impeachment. And Steve Bannon's like, why did we put him up there? How come that we don't have a sycophant up there saying exactly what we want him to say?
For that professor's name, why don't we put him on the maybe category? Why don't we, maybe we bring him in a couple weeks. Maybe we...
This is why Steve Bannon is so fucking dangerous, because I don't get it. A lot of these Republicans don't understand this basic shit. They're like, oh yeah, we got this shit. All we need to do is it doesn't matter who we get. We just need to pretend. And it's like, no, that's not good enough. You actually do need to make sure your ducks are in a row to do this properly. And that's what makes Steve Bannon so fucking dangerous, because he does get it. He's incredibly dangerous. He absolutely understands how to manipulate people. And he's like, yeah, could we have gotten the guy that disagrees that this is even an impeachable offense? Could we have gotten him maybe later on the stage and maybe gotten the guy that was like, it's definitely impeachable up there for like front and center? By the way, welcome back, God and Naranja.
We don't start with him.
Yeah, there, and Steve Bannon's like, serious?
I don't know, dude. I want to smoke a fucking bong with this guy. You know this guy's smoking up. All right, let's get one more. Yeah, let's get one more here with Steve Bannon, and then we'll call it an end to this segment.
Representatives, play the clip.
We followed it in its entirety. We're going to play your cold open in the next hour. Give me your thoughts.
Well, Steve, I know you're already live for 4 hours a day, but I think today really was rock bottom. We've hit the point where we need to bring back war room impeachment because our House Republicans don't know what they're doing at all. This was Kevin McCarthy's Hail Mary to try to convince us that we can't shut down the government. Frankly, I think this makes the case that we
100% get it, Naraja. 100%. You're plugged in. You're getting it.
To, because they need to reassess. And Steve, honestly, the best part, in the middle of the hearing, do you know what the House GOP tweets from their official Twitter account? Hunter Biden's laptop is real. That's the tweet. These people are fundamentally unserious.
And now let's take a quick break to talk about our next part.
Yay! Was this weed? What the hell is this? Yeah, it's weed. Or is this tobacco? What the fuck is this? Pure plants? Is this weed or not? What the fuck is this? Can I get high off this shit or not, dude? What the fuck is this? Crisp mint? I don't know, man. These guys are clearly stoned. Ooh, this will be good. Hold on, this will be good.
Here's Neil Cavuto. Play the clip.
Neil Cavuto, dude. It's so funny when Neil Cavuto can't find the bullshit to pull out of it, and he just has to admit this is bullshit.
Fox Business Show earlier today. I don't know what was achieved over these last 6+ hours. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto. I want to put in perspective here, though, and we are going to legally go through all the details, but James Comer, the Oversight Committee chairman, had said that there would be presented a mountain of evidence against...
I don't know if I would call Neil Cavuto good, but maybe he just, stuck to the facts, but nah, man. Anybody who's allowed to be on TV in the last 30 fucking years is suspect, and that includes Crystal Ball. And Cenk Uygur. I mean, you see you know what I mean? It just doesn't, something ain't right.
Against Mr. Biden. It was referring to President Biden. But none of the expert witnesses today presented yet any proof for impeachment. Now, to be clear, this was not about impeachment. This is about launching an impeachment inquiry. But it is worth pointing out that none of the witnesses today were fact witnesses. That means that none were involved in the investigation into the alleged activities in the first place. What's more, none of the witnesses testified today of direct knowledge of what Republicans have been claiming about Joe Biden. In other words, that the way this was built up, where there's smoke, there would be fire. Again, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm going to be talking to some darn smart ones in a moment. But where there's smoke today...
Press X to doubt on that one.
We just got a lot more smoke. We also say that...
Yeah, there's a lot of smoke. I could feel it, man.
The best they could say now, after this 6+ hours of testimony back and forth, is that they're going to try to get more bank records from Joe Biden.
How much is this costing us? How much is this fucking costing us, man? This is expensive.
And his son says that they're needed to determine if a crime was committed. Understood. But none of that was presented today, just that they would need those records to further this investigation today, even though this occurs after months of Republican probes that failed to provide anything resembling concrete evidence. We do not already know, for example, a charge that was made today that Joe Biden took a bribe. That might, in fact, be the case.
This is the best he's got, Equaldari. This is the best they got, right? They seem to be satisfied with just the idea of the word impeachment and Biden being in the same sentence, right? They don't seem to really care about the substance of it at all. And honestly, they're getting walked on. I mean, they're getting rolled, dude. It's kind of embarrassing. In this
inquiry when we get more evidence, but that is still an unproven allegation.
But none of this gets to the masses, though. Your regular, average $50,000 a year MAGA Republican doesn't give a flying fruity fuck about this.
Furthermore, much talk about this Bruce Stravinsky, this forensic accountant, and a key witness for Republicans.
Strategy.
Not enough evidence
basically.
Yet. Those are his words. Not enough evidence yet to conclude corruption by the Bidens. Jonathan.
Yes, so Kevin McCarthy is going to be able to keep his job as long as he continues to appeal to corporatist Democrats, because that allows him to get around these 7 or 8 obstructionists.
Turley himself.
So yeah, Kevin will be keeping his job.
That the House does not have such evidence to support articles of impeachment, but this is an opening for it.
And here, Democratic.
Okay, come on, Ben. I think we could have probably cut that a little bit better. I don't need to hear Jamie Raskin's response. We've heard enough of him. All right, so there you go, folks. That's your shutdown update. I wanted to do an update from yesterday because, like I said, we ended it a little too soon. And they went back at the 11th hour, made some changes, and I guess we got a stay of execution for the next 40 or so days, where they're just going to continue this ridiculous debate when really the Democrats should be working on some kind of solution. And I'm not a constitutional guy. You know, I don't know every fucking rule. I'm not Ralph Nader over here knowing every single little parliamentary trick and rule in the book. But I got a feeling that the Democrats actually do have the power to stop this in its tracks completely. And ultimately, this flirtation, this continued flirtation with bipartisanship is going to be the thing that destroys the neoliberals. The right-wing Republicans are 100% intent on making it impossible for the left to have any power politically. We will be strictly fastigial. We will just be there. You know, we will be there so that they could pretend like, you know, oh, we care about democracy. We still care about democracy. That's why we'll be there as some kind of, you know, Combs. Remember Hannity and Combs? That's what we're going to be. Functionally, we're all gonna be, the entire left is gonna turn into fucking Combs. The fuck was his name? Something Combs? Sean P. Diddy Combs? Fuck was his name? What was his first name? I just remember as him as the guy that embarrassed himself in front of Sean Hannity every night. No, the other guy, Combs. Hannity and Combs. What was his fucking name, dude? No one knows his name. Alan Combs. It was Alan Combs. This is our future, guys. This is the future of the neoliberal Democrats right here. This guy. This is us. Some punching bag. Some you know, some cipher that could be any kind of stereotype or fear mongering could be applied to, and his you know, oh no we're not communists, no we're not. Liz Warren got in a rage. We're not going to get into it, but man, go back to the fucking drawing board, man. On Liz Warren, Federalist Society, Liz Warren, Federalist Society, Liz Warren. You're not on the right page with Liz Warren, homie. I'm not lying to you. Why would I lie to you? You know, go back to the drawing board on Liz Warren, okay? Reevaluate your opinion of her, please. Ukrainian Spider-Man shooting anti-tank rocket? Okay. Well, that's a great segue into our next segment, which is going to be Ukraine. So YouTube, like and subscribe. Come on over to the Twitch channel. You get that link in the description. Come on over, and we can all be Alan Combs. Oh God. Thank you.